We're going to start with this webinar of AI for women. Great. My name is Victoria Olsina, and I'm going to be conducting today's session, specialized in marketing, in SEO. And in the last 3 years, I have been pivoting to AI as everyone else. In terms of what I do in my daily life, my background is in SEO, and I'm a feature author of the books SEO in 2024 and SEO in 25. In case you're looking for something to read tonight, I think that you should definitely buy that on Amazon, and 2026 is coming. I'm also a conference speaker, a mentor and judge at different startup incubators like Outliers Ventures and judge at the European Search Awards. In case that you think that search doesn't meet awards, it does. You would be judged by me. And last year, I was nominated for the best SEO in Europe. Now, I have been working in digital for a very, very long time. And the main two industries that I work in are fintech and Web3. I think that the only brand that you're going to know from these slides, if you're not in Web3, is Barclays. In today's session, we're going to be talking about why women use AI less than men. One thing that I want to tell you also is that English is not my native language, and that's why sometimes I confuse AI and IA, because in Spanish is inteligencia artificial. And that explains my second error in the last 4 slides. You can only hope that this is going to be hilarious. Now, today we're going to be covering, first of all, we're going to be talking about why women use AI less than men and what to do about it. And the part of the solution is to set up your ChatGPT. We're going to also be talking about doing an intro to custom GPTs. We're going to be showing some demos of these. I'm going to be showing you some prompting frameworks and training process. And then we're going to see a little bit of automation. Yes, are we ready? If you're ready, do something. Thank you, Nchita. Thank you. Excellent. Let's go. Now, is anyone here not using ChatGPT, Claude, or any AI tools? Or are we all using something? Is anybody using custom GPTs? Put something on the chat. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for letting me know. Great. But is there someone? Okay, no one. Amazing. Great. That is the main. Okay, Olayemi is using it. And this is one of the main things we're going to be talking about today. Also, I'm aware that we all have different levels in this call. Some things might be really basic for some people and some not. But I'm going to start from the beginning, from the things that I wish people had taught me when I was starting ChatGPT. And is anybody using automation or agents? No one? Okay, great. Well, Sarah, you're saying yes, but you are an AI security expert. You're not starting in AI. Yes. So that's good. That's good, Sarah, if you're using it. Now, something that concerns me a lot, because I feel that women get screwed in everything, is that I read this report of Deloitte 2024 that in the UK, 43% of men have adopted AI, Gen AI, and only 28% of women. And then I dug a bit deeper into all of these articles. One of these two things that I found really interesting in this is that women and men use AI at work, right? But if women use AI and people realize they are seen as less capable as the men that are also using AI, because we live in a wonderful world, right? So insanity, what I have to read today. And also, if you work in an office, corporate, we know that, or any job, right? Corporate culture praises the grind, right? We need to sacrifice ourselves for whoever pays our salary. So what are we going to do about it? Now, the irony of all of this is that obviously women and all the professionals would benefit from most of the benefits of AI because we tend to do more things everywhere in life, right? Women need AI, but if they use it, they are seen as less capable. Beautiful. 2025. We have accomplished so much. But don't worry. Today, I'm going to sort everything. Then, tomorrow, I'll sort out peace in the Middle East. But today, we're sorting out patriarchy, right? So we have two problems, right? Women are seen as less competent if they use AI. Even men are using it too. And women need to do a lot. we see the bias, right? AI is not the problem. The patriarchy is surprise, surprise. So we're going to hack it because there's no other way, right? And we're going to make ChatGPT sound like you, so it's undetectable. And we're going to dig deeper into the power of customization of AI. Do we agree? Are we going to hack the patriarchy? If somebody doesn't want to hack the patriarchy in the next 48 minutes, please put a Nigel Farage emoji in the chat. I'm going to talk about ChatGPT because it's the platform that most people use. But many of the things that I'm going to be telling you are going to be transferable to the other platforms. So we're going to do a very quick setup of ChatGPT because sometimes I work in marketing, and generally people in marketing have been using AI a lot in the last 2 years. But recently I realized that the other people don't live in the same bubble. So we're going to be all leveled up, and we're going to quickly customize this, right? Set up our custom GPT. So here, where do the magic happens? In personalization, right? We don't want ChatGPT to sound like everyone else. And when we say that AI is detectable, it's because it sounds robotic. And if I write, I don't know, an essay right now about the patriarchy, and Rohini writes an essay about the patriarchy, we are going to sound like we are the same person. And I am here in the paid version of ChatGPT. This is the plus version. This is the $20 version, right? And I'm going to be showing how I have set this up. So we have enabled personalization. If you don't have enough personality, you can bring one up here. It's fine. I have been in the UK enough in a long time, so I know that this might be challenging for some. So if you have personality, we can add some personalization here in custom instructions. I'm going to try to zoom in this because I know that this is a bit small. So let's see. I have added some instructions for myself, like use UK spelling. Don't use emojis unless you're told to. And this one is key. This is one of the things that people realize when you're using AI, that AI starts sounding robotic because it uses the same words, right? Chat tends to start sentences, changing world or industry. I work a lot with cryptos always, in the ever-changing world of cryptocurrency, always, every single sentence. Don't write like that. You're here to avoid writing like this. Yes, here I'm removing all of these words that sound like AI, right? We're going to try to take out M dashes, use columns, and never use emojis. And then I can choose a name. I chose Victoria because that's who I am. But on Claude, I have Hugo Chamberlain, which is my alter ego. And whenever I have to do things really important, I use it. I use Hugo because Hugo is a man. He can get away with things easier than me. So use whoever character you want to be. Occupation, SEO, and marketing, pivoting to AI marketing, and then a bit more about you. Now, here I repeat something really similar. And also, I do comedy in my free time. Now, if I told Chat that I was a comedian, and it started trying to be funny all the time, which is really annoying. It doesn't work like that. I am the funny one. You don't have to pretend you're funny, ChatGPT. Now, other things is reference saved memories. This is really creepy, but it's also really convenient. And that's why AI will eventually take over the world. So if we say reference save memories, it means that chat will start recording most of the things that you say, right? And here you can manage these memories, and we can see everything that saves about you. Truly scary, but convenient. Also, I'm going to let it reference my chat history, meaning that if I say something in one chat, it can reference it in another one. It can reference the history of the chats before, right? You can turn it on from now onwards, or you can also tell it access what happened before I turn off this function. Also, we're going to enable web search, code, Canva, advanced voice mode. I think this is all in this section. Something newer that is coming is the ability for you to connect to different services like email, Google Calendar, Google Drive. So if you connect to any of these services, you can ask Chatty to go in your, what is my latest email, right? Help me write a follow-up email for this client. So it will go, it will read the full thread, and it has access to everything. What could go wrong? I know that Sarah is also an expert in security, so probably she wouldn't give the same advice as me. Evidently, the more connections we have, the more access we give, it will be convenient. But yeah, things can get a bit weird at some point. We will realize in the next few months of all of the consequences of these actions. Also, we can schedule tasks, read crypto news, practice. It's not that I need to practice Spanish. This was a test. I should probably practice English. And what else do we have that we can do? These are the shared links that I have shared with people. I can disable these. And I think that this is mostly everything we have to do. The most important thing, again, is to tell AI to fill the personalization options, right? So that AI can know who we are and what are we doing. Now, I also have some connectors turn on sometimes, and memory for me is to turn on all the time. Besides this, I do this webinar for advanced users and beginner users. Well, I use ChatGPT all the time. I don't do anything that is not AI assisted, but sleeping. I use all the functions. But if you are not using these functions, I'm going to tell you a bit of some tips. First of all, besides text, you can upload videos, PDF, or speak directly with the voice function. And that is really convenient when you're on the go, right? Besides that, I noticed that beginner users may create a chat for everything. Now, if I'm talking about a certain topic, imagine that I'm organizing this talk. I will have all of this talk in one chat because that gives longer context, so it will understand better. And sometimes I have chats that last months and months and months because we are talking about the same thing. It's the same thread. So it makes sense to give context to the app. With these small tweaks, we are starting to, it's not generic anymore. We have context. We have given the instructions so it talks like us. And now it's taking a bit of a more interesting shape. Now, there's a new function that was released last week, which is for conversation, where you can copy, duplicate the conversation, and maybe take another angle. Or for some reason, you want to duplicate it and do something else, which forking is something very common for developers. Duplicate and you start again. And two things which I use a lot is projects. I have projects here. For example, public speaking is one of my projects. AI marketing agency is one of my other projects. And here I can add files and instructions. So all of these chats reference between each other. And it's like a folder of chats that reference each other, right? And I found this really convenient. And for the people that have just arrived, I'm using the paid version, the $20 version of ChatGPT, the Plus version. I don't remember if this is only a paid option, but I also want to say that these $20 a month is the tool that has allowed me to make the most money in my life, in my career, after starting in crypto in 2017. So if you have those $20, spend it on this. This is an investment. You can afford it. It's less than $1 per day, 50 cents UK. And yeah, for me, it's life-changing. And everything that I'm going to show you today, 85% of it was done with this paid Plus subscription. Also, agent mode is something really newish and very convenient. I use it a lot to fill forms. You know, when you have the information here, but you now have to put it in a very long form, I tell the AI agent, go in here and then fill in all of the information in this other form. I wish I had agent mode before I applied for my citizenship in the UK. But now I had the joy of filling that normally, 85 questions, including all the travel I did in the last 5 years. Now, if you have to do the same thing, please use the agent mode and it will save you hours of therapy. Other things that people use with the agent mode is finding flights or bookings for restaurants and things like that. Agent mode goes into the real web, into the open web, and does tasks for you. this is what is coming, right? AI is supposed to at some point be agentic AI, and we're going to live in the matrix inside that sort of cocoon without going into the external world, and everything will be powered from the mind. Really exciting. Use agent mode. Now, we said that women have to do a lot. I do a lot. I have a problem. I want to do everything a human can possibly do. Right? One of the things that I do is comedy, what I told you before. And I have, I don't know, moderate success. Let's call it that way. I also produce a comedy night. It means that besides being an immigrant woman entrepreneur in a foreign country, I do things that would take me a lot of time and don't give me absolutely any money. So how? But I love it. And that is the problem. That is the problem with abusive relationships. How do you get out of there? Now, this is a lot. It's a lot to do. It's a lot of content. I produce a lot of content per week for marketing because I market my agency. And per week, for example, LinkedIn, I did 3 posts a week, Twitter 5. I do a YouTube video per week. This YouTube video then goes into my blog, and then Medium, maybe 10 serious marketer buy something from me, blog post per week. And then as a comedian, I have 2 accounts. I have TikTok. It's just unmanageable and voluntary. That is one of the craziest things. I publish a lot of content to pretend I'm relevant in both business and comedy. Right? This is a big problem. So I think that a lot of people have this issue. Particularly, I have connection issues in my brain, which is called HDHD. And I have ideas all different all the time. I don't care how long it takes. I don't care if it brings money or not. I just want to do everything. Now, the problem is, how can I turn these ideas into a format, right? How do I go from idea to action? And does this happen to you? To anyone? Great. I feel less alone. How are we going to go from ideas to action? Even if you have the right chemistry in your brain. So my finest attempt with this, probably not the most obvious choice, but I train my own bots inside ChatGPT, right? And these are called custom GPTs. Again, in order to train your own bots, we will need the $20 version, but to use the bots, you don't need the $20 version. You can use anyone's bots, and that is pretty cool. But I think that the true power comes when we train our own, right? Because if I tell Chat to write jokes, what do you think is going to happen? It's not going to be very good, right? It will be different if I can train ChatGPT in all of my material. And then I tell it, why don't you write some jokes like me? I cannot confirm or deny I have been doing that. Now I'm going to continue. Custom GPTs are assistants inside of ChatGPT, and they're configured with your own content and your own instructions. And you don't need to be able to code or anything. You just drag and drop files, give instructions, and now we have a bot trained on something or on someone. Now the power comes because it references existing content. Imagine I want to write blogs like myself. I can download all of the blogs from my website and train ChatGPT on those blogs. The same with social media, the same with docs, with anything you want, you can train this on. And this is able to reflect the tone and personality of the person that is delivering the work. It also can maintain technical accuracy and terminology, which is really important for example, I said that I work a lot in the crypto. So there is jargon that needs to be included. There's a way in which crypto bros speak, and we need to imitate that. Also, it will generate consistent content, right? And overall, this is in the last 3 years, this is the tool that I have used the most, and that have helped me to save time, money, and also make money with my clients and with my agency. People say that AI sounds robotic. We talked about that, right? It's like in the rapidly evolving landscape of cryptocurrency, or whatever industry you're on. Let's say you're in events, it would say in the ever-changing world of events. It will always say the same thing. Now, when we train AI, and this is one example from the clients, it can say you made the best moves of your crypto journey. That's pretty good. AI will never start a sentence with that. We can train it on anything we like. And in this case, it's been trained on a writer that writes for a crypto newsletter. Now, we talked about long context chats before, right? Where I said that if you want to talk about a topic, it's better to talk in the same chat so the chat has more context. And sometimes people confuse custom GPT with long context chats. Now, the main difference is custom GPT has persistence instructions. You don't need to remind instructions all the time. Also, it has a knowledge base where all of the upload files are referenced in each session, right? Generally, when you talk in a long chat, the content is only remembered for the session. So if you turn off the computer now and you open it tomorrow and you upload a PDF, it's forgot, right? We can get much more consistency and scalability. Scalability, why? Because you can share your bots. I can give you the link of any of my bots right now, and you can start using them. So it's really good for collaboration, right? I know that there is some people using Claude. Has a similar option, which is Claude Projects. Now, Claude Project, I don't like it so much because I feel that it has the amount of files you can and content that you can upload is way less. It's like actually 20 times less than ChatGPT. You cannot plug it to APIs. You cannot share a link. So you're waiting on people to train their own projects, just insanity. I use Cloud projects when only I will use the tool, right? But if I have to share it with clients, I use Custom GPT, and I highly encourage you that you use that. And I use Custom GPT as a second brain for work and for life, right? I'm going to show you some stuff. I'm going to show you some Custom GPTs that I created for different areas of my life. So let me show you. I'm going to go to inputs. And I really like this one. I think this is one of the people's favorite. Karen Complainer GPT is that complaints for you. And you're maybe wondering, is she insane? Why did she build this? Well, last year I traveled a lot and a lot of bad things happened and I wanted my money back. I think I developed a bulletproof method to get my money back. And then I trained a GPT on this. So if I go to the instructions, you're going to see Karen. This is a custom GPT, which have a Karen complainer, and it helps draft formal complaints. Now, Karen, we have a prompt, and in this prompt, we are telling Karen that it has to collect some basic information, and there are examples of this. Then we need supporting evidence. And what we want is a professionally worded email with relevant references applicable to consumer laws and clear advice on how to escalate. So here we see how the template would look. And I added all of the specific consumer law applicable in the UK. So for example, airports and air services, civil aviation authority, FCA, this is financial services. And this is practical when you have to complain. Now we have also conversation starters. I help writing a complaint, escalate a complaint, or turn my email into a complaint. Remember that we said we don't even need to talk. We don't even need to write. We can talk or we can send the email. So let me show you. I'm going to just put a PDF here of my complaint for Gymbox in case you wanted one of the companies that inspired me in this complaining journey. We're going to go back. Sorry, here, so we don't lose chat. And I have an email thread from Inbox, which used to be my gym before this happened. So I'm going to take it here and I'm going to say, write a complaint based on this email. Boom. So here we see we have a subject, why I'm complaining, what are the facts, and what I'm requesting. And also, if you don't do anything in 14 days, I'm going to contact all of these people because I'm insane. Now, when you send those kind of emails, people generally pay attention to you. But this is a silly example of what are things that you do on a daily basis. In my case, I complain about gyms. This is an example to give you an idea of the things that you can do, right? Let's do others that make me look a bit less insane. This one is pretty good. Proposal generator. Now, this writes proposals for me. So I record my calls with Fireflies, and then what I do, I can send the transcript and it will create a proposal. And that is pretty cool because anyone here can train it on a proposal, on anything. But I think that proposals is something that we do in every single profession. So I throw the file. I prepared it and I don't know what happened afterwards. We're going to send the one that I found. I don't know if this is the best example, but we're going to try to see what happened with this. Obviously, this requires then human supervision, but this will output a proposal that is 2 or 3 pages, and then I can go and review it. So it's 80% done, right? This is what we do with different GPTs. We train it on something, on someone, on a series of instructions, and then it just operates on its own. This is one for a client in Australia that is a compliance bot. I don't know if you have ever had to deal with compliance in your job. They are pretty slow, right? I don't know what compliance do. I created a compliance bot. This is for an e-commerce retailer that sells health supplements. Therefore, there are some regulations in Australia that they had to follow. They cannot say whatever thing. So if I say compliance check for this, I copy and paste, and now it will tell me all of the things that I have to do. Also here, we train it to give the outputs in a table. Now the output is in the format that we want, right? So very simple things, but things that you do every day and that takes a lot of time. And you can train this for anything. Actually, I have these. So for the YouTube videos that I do, my editor speaks English, medium level, but it's not a copywriter. So what I can do, I created this. So when we have the shorts that we generally do for YouTube, we can copy and paste. I'm going to do the script. We're going to take the video transcript, and this is going to turn it into different social media posts. So if I go to this one, we did this today. So now I have a copywriter. Now I know that there is someone that said in the chat, is the transcript like a voice note of what you want in the proposal? No, the transcript is, when you have a meeting and you record the meeting with Google Meet, Fireflies, Phantom, or any of those, you download that transcript and you pay and you put it there. Because if I have a client, let's say you're my client and we meet for the first time, we're going to be talking about what you need, right? And then I'm going to send you a proposal. So all of that transcript has a lot of valuable information about what you need. I just take that and put it into the proposal. Here we have, today we did this e-commerce. So I have my transcript. Again, everything that is recorded is a great source of data. So we take this, we can say, I'm going to paste. And now we have a Twitter post, we have a LinkedIn post, we have an Instagram post, we have everything. And I see Amy in the chat is asking if it's accurate. Yes, it's accurate. It's accurate. Obviously, it depends on your ability to train the bots, right? But I'm going to share in a couple of minutes a tool that creates prompts for you. So with those prompts, you can create better instructions for the custom GPTs. It's as good as the training material and as the instructions. And sometimes, obviously, you have to go back and forth, and it takes a couple of iterations to come to the desired outcome. Now, Jasmita says, I have experienced hallucinations a couple of times with the free version. Hallucinations with the custom GPT happen less because we have training instructions. It doesn't even have knowledge, but I'm going to show you my LinkedIn one. Here we are telling exactly what to do. So the room for hallucination is much narrower, right? So if I show you, for example, this is a LinkedIn train on myself, right? So it knows who I am, and it has I also uploaded like the more successful formats of LinkedIn. This one, JWord once posted all of the most successful templates for LinkedIn, and I took it, and now it's embedded on my bot. So this bot knows about me and knows how it has to write. It has really specific instructions. It's not write a LinkedIn post. No, write like Victoria Olsina. All of these files tell who Victoria is. In order to do a hook, use any of these templates and then develop the LinkedIn post with the most successful templates from LinkedIn. The room for hallucination is much narrower, right? Also, the way it will speak can be totally different. We can tailor this 100%. We can customize it according to how you write. And I do this with a lot of clients at work. Many times writers have a million things to do. We train a bot on their voice. It's much easier to write like you if you have a bot that writes like you, right? So this can speed up a lot of things. Now, let's do a quick test for LinkedIn. I'm going to say, I'm doing a webinar, AI for women, because women use AI less than men. This is a really crap idea, right? Most of my ideas are like that, but I have 60 of these. So I sound really smart in general. It's magic. So now we have, it shows a template, right? Old versus new, great. And it has something that is different. The piece I can go and post on LinkedIn. So one of these for every function of life. That's how I roll. And here I have, this is how you cheat. This is how you defeat the patriarchy. Now I have many that I created myself. And then I have many that I collected from different places. I have this mini library of GPTs for whatever I want to do, right? Now it can speak like us and it can do whatever we wanted. It can replicate instructions. Things that are really interesting for me is that you can connect to APIs. APIs is how you connect to a third-party software. We can connect this to, for example, that they're in the call, some people that organizes events, right? Imagine I want to know all of the events that are happening in London that are for vegans. I can connect the API of Ticketek or Eventbrite, and now I can get all of that information into ChatGPT, right? I'm going to show you an example because I know it's not so clear. One other thing that is really interesting is that you can call them. It's not that we are working in isolation. It's like I can call, Victoria LinkedIn can call and say, let's call the pre-comedian. Victoria 1 hour show. So let's say we're going to do the same thing. We're going to write a post, importance of AI for women, AI education for women. This is writing for me for LinkedIn. And now we're going to call, I want a Twitter. That's how I speak. I want X, Victoria's X, Victoria, Twitter, great. Read the post before and adapt it to X. And this one is another one that has all the instructions on how I write for X, right? Let's say, I don't know if the comedian will make anything funny about this. And we make a joke about the previous post. Risk that you take when you do things live. Here we have some, okay, this is not bad. They say the women need the education to avoid being excluded from the future of work. They are recording crypto. The future of work is exclusion. I have a lot of crypto colleagues today. We all know this. I mean, this one is pretty good. I mean, I could use this. It's not the best joke, but I didn't have to think of it. We can call all of them, you know? So if I have 60, I can write the blog, YouTube, script, everything. And something that I wanted to show you is, we're going to close all of these. For many times in SEO, which is my core profession, I have to write content briefs. Content briefs is when we tell writer what they have to write, right? And I have to use this beautiful software which is called Neuro. And then you have all of the keyword. Neuro tells you, okay, if you want to rank for a keyword, then you have to do all of these things. And we're going to take this one, which is a bit less complicated. So imagine I have a client that does crypto loans. And I know that if I use this software, if I want to write a crypto loans landing page, I have to insert all of these terms here. Imagine the amount of time that it would take to do it manually. But remember, I have the system. I said before that you can connect APIs. So I connected the API of this software to a custom GPT. And it means that now all of that information, yes, all of these will show up on ChatGPT. Magic. I know you don't believe me, but just watch. Bring query. I'm going to ask. This is what I'm going to import. Good. And going to connect. Now we're going to see all of this information here. And I'm going to show you why this is important. Because now that I have all of this information here, I can tell ChatGPT to write it. Because now it has all of the instructions of the thing that I had to do. Right? All of these keywords that we had to insert in all of these places, now ChatGPT will do it for us. But there's something else. I train a custom GPT per client. In this case, my client is Meso, and I have a custom GPT that knows everything about Meso, right? So it knows everything about the company, it has all of the blog posts, it knows everything that Meso does. So instead of writing this with the normal GPT, I can call Meso Marketer and say, write a landing page for the previous instructions. Like it goes, it searches in their knowledge base, and now it writes a landing page, like if it was my client, not a generic page, because there's many companies that do crypto loans or whatever service, but this is writing like the client. And how do we know that it's writing like the client? Because it's telling me things that only the client does, like some obscure things. But for example, MSUD is a stable coin that was developed by my client, right? It's also talking about the APR of these loans, which is 2.5. It's telling me how it works. It gives me a link to the page. And FAQs, CTA, ready to borrow. And here's my page. In 2 minutes, I took the information from the software that I use. Now I know that this is an example that is SEO, but think of if you're in marketing or text, think about the software that you use that generally you have to copy and paste. Now we get the data inside of custom GPT, and with that data, we can action because we can call any of our other, right? Now we talked a lot about not sounding like AI, right? So this company has two writers. One is really punchy, crypto bro, and the other one is really academic. So what I'm going to do for my next trick, I'm going to call the academic one. And I'm going to say, very academic one is called Vaish. And I'm going to say, repurpose this content into a blog post written by Vaish, right? And Vaish is my Vaish bot. Now we're going to have this blog post written by Vaish. And this sounds totally different because instructions are totally different. But let's say that we want it to be written by Joey, which is the other one. Rewrite like Joey. Hasn't finished, but almost there. Boom. We have a blog post about crypto loans written by Vaish. And again, it's giving me the call to actions. And now we're going to say, rewrite the previous content. And we have a blog post that is written totally different because they write totally different. There are people, right? Look at this. I'm missing in the ever-changing world of cryptocurrencies here. And actually, you know what? If we go to Quillbot, we can see this is 0% AI. I guess I'm not going to be undermined by my colleagues when they check my output. Magic. Also, I have just showed you that we can be as general or as specific as we want to. I showed you that I train a marketing GPT for this client, and then that I have an SEO copywriter for this client, and then we have author bots. So this can be as general or as specific as you want. And I mean, if we review the process, it's like we have instructions, write like Joey. In order to write like Joey, it has to go to its knowledge base and it will look for all of the files that this has been trained, and then it's going to style it, right? This is where the magic happens. When we can call data with APIs, we can orchestrate this output in a way that it sounds pretty legit. How I generally do start with AI, I generally start with a good prompt for a repeatable task. I have just shown you ACO because it's one of the things that I do the most. Then I turn it into a custom GPT like you saw. And then if possible, I'll scale it with automation. The basics of this is that AI needs good prompts. We need to write good instructions. And I'm going to show you a quick framework for this. What is a good prompt? Imagine if I tell you, get me some lunch or some dinner. It depends where you are in the world right now. Some food. You're going to bring whatever. You might even, if you're in the UK, you might bring me a meal deal from Tesco and I'm never going to speak to you again, ever. An egg sandwich is the worst thing that could happen in my life. But some people might think that is acceptable and we are different and that's fine. So in order to avoid the egg sandwich situation, maybe I can be a bit more specific. I can say, could you find me a lunch option under 10 pounds? I'm on a low carb diet. I don't eat gluten, of course, because I live in London. And I prefer sushi or Persian food. I also am in a hurry, so check the stalls around, like in the market around the corner. What this person is gonna grab is much more specific than this. Here we have the Tesco sandwich risk. Here we don't have Tesco sandwich risk. Here the scope is pretty narrow, and this happens a lot of professions like events and marketing. Briefs are a core task. What do you want me to do? Here's a brief. We don't start working from nothing. We need some instructions. So for this, we generally use the clear framework, which means that we need context. What is the scenario? She wants some lunch. Length. Length is desired output length. Is this in the case of of marketing, is this a blog post? Is this a blog post that is 500 words, or 1,500 or 3,000? What is the length of these examples? This is really important. What are the best examples for this blog that I can find so you can reference that? Then audience, self-explanatory, and role. Role is act like a native crypto writer, right? Like we did with Joey and Badger. Act like a crypto writer. So here we have, for example, a content creation template. Here is the role. Do we need a landing page? Do we need a blog? What do we need? Target audience, context, length, and include anything that is specific. This is how we write good prompts. It's not grab me lunch, it's be specific about it. Now, there are also some tips which I would like to share with you today. The main one is probably what I have just said is act like, which is role prompting. Act like you are an experienced event producer, SEO consultant, comedian, whatever. And then we explain what you have to do step by step. You are an event producer and you need to produce Mel C Spice Girls reunion. How lucky you are. Spice Girl reunion, and this is what we're gonna do. First, we need to know the crew. Second, we need to have briefing session. Third, we're gonna do this. Fourth, we're gonna do this, right? This is the step-by-step process. Now, something, you're gonna think I'm bullshitting you with this, but this is true. You can emotionally manipulate the bot. And you can tell it, you are the best copywriter in the world. Help me book Mel C because my job depends on it. And if not, we're both gonna get fired. And the bot does an extra effort. Try it at home. Then you tell me. Also, a few short prompting is when we use examples. Hi, name, main content regarding we use this kind of writing, the output is gonna be much better. And also, some people might have noticed that sometimes ChatGPT forgets of the things that were in the middle of the conversation. So we can add at the end of the prompt, important, and we repeat the instruction. Never start a sentence in the word of. So this is some tips. Now, you might be thinking, That's great, but I'm never going to do this. It's fine. You don't have to do this. You know what? Because I created a prompt maker that can help you to do this. So if you take your phones now and scan the QR code, the last 7 minutes of this presentation would have been in vain. But now you know logic, right? The basics of it. Prompt Maker, I think it's really good to start from scratch. You are going to describe, say, I want a customer service bot. This is a terrible instruction, as you can see. So it will ask me, okay, what kind of customer service bot? Platform, tone, personality. We need to give it some context. We cannot write from zero, right? So this is something I created to give you some, to help you, right? Also, I showed you that I collect prompts and GPTs I build my own, but I also collect from other people. And I think it's a great idea to have a library of things that have worked for you and that you save for the future. Now, in terms of training a custom GPT, I have showed you a couple of examples. We need clear instructions. And for that, we need the clear framework. Actually, you can start the instructions with the Prompt Maker Express, right? So we need instructions. We need content, as I showed you. Yeah. Like if I want this to write like me, if I want this LinkedIn to write like Victoria, we need to give some files of who Victoria is. LinkedIn post I like is this file. Look, all of these files here. Transcript of webinars, instructions. So this is when you start putting your own knowledge, I think that's where the magic happens. Then we're going to set technical parameters like length. For example, I showed you that my Australian client, it's the compliance bot replies to you as a table. If you want answers as a table, it's totally possible. And then we test and refine. It's not so common that the first time that you train the bot, it works perfectly. But I think that I can get it right depending on the complexity between 2 and 3 interactions. If it's a simple one, if it's more complex, maybe 10. But testing is part of the process, right? Refining, asking like, why is this not working? And if it's not working, you can always ask, why is this not working? Tell me, what do I have to do to make you do this? I'm able to share the ones that I do for clients, the serious ones, with them. And the amount of the speed and the consistency we gain is really significant. Now, also, when we want to train a custom GPT or any bot in what is good, instead of explaining what good is, it's better to bring a sample. So if I say, okay, write like Vaj, and I have to explain sentence by sentence, it will take a very long time. But I said, these are the top 10 most popular blog posts like Vaj. Analyze the examples. You analyze the example. You are the AI, the immigrant of technologies. Analyze these examples, match their style, structure, and level of detail. So now the AI does the work for you. You give the samples and let you analyze it. So we can reverse engineer. And also, the quality of the inputs determines the quality of the output. We give it the worst output. So if I give the worst blogs that Vaj wrote, the output is going to be the worst iteration of that. I have mentioned this before, but if you're not recording the meetings, if you deal with clients, you're a freelancer, employee, entrepreneur, and if you're not recording your meetings, you're missing the gold because people reveal everything in calls. If I have 5 calls with you, I can make a synthetic persona of you, Rohini. I have never seen you, but I have 5 calls with you. I take all the transcript and I can train a custom GPT. And then instead, next time I give you a proposal, I can sort of iterate and say, hey, will Rohini like this proposal based on all of the information we have about her? Evil? Possible? Both. Whatever intelligence you want to do on people, this allows you to do for $20 a month. Now, inputs determine the output, quality of the output. Core, really important here. Now, sometimes we see this AI against women, AI against advising women. Now, the data that we have of the world is terrible. This is not a fair world. This is not a world that treats women the same, Black people the same, gay people the same, trans people the same. If we take data from this, for example, I read like a couple of weeks ago that Black women in the NHS, they have more chances of bad things happen. Right. If I train a custom GPT on that, that's going to be a disaster. I have to train it on neutral data. This is what we're missing. If we tell ChatGPT that women tend 20% less, well, what will it do? If I train an LLM like ChatGPT on all of science that happened before the 17th century, it will tell me that the earth is flat. Well, a lot of people still today think that, but let's assume that you are not one of those. Beyond the political aspect of this, it's core for training data, the training samples you're giving AI. Now, when to use AI, right? If we are at work, if you want to draft report, proposal, marketing copy filtering, that's great. Now, if you are doing compliance work, I show you a GPT compliance, but then it has to go to the actual person, right? Legal documents, sensitive data. Well, you might not want to use it or or maybe not a commercial solution, more of a local LLM, right? More advanced solution. So the thing is that most of us will be here, except for Sarah, who works in AI security. Probably, Sarah, you're more here, the rest of humans here. And it's also really, really important to keep a human in the loop, meaning that every time we produce something, a human checks that it's okay. I told you that this has fundamentally changed the way I work. Before, I used to sell SEO and marketing work. And now I can sell the bots that do this work, right? And why is this important? Because sometimes when you are in services, many times there are companies that might not be able to pay your services, but I can offer this for half the price. So now, if you have one marketer, you have all of these GPTs, you can execute across channels. I'm sure that in this call, every one of you does something better than anyone else. For example, Shelly, you know everything about events, everything about Dubai. So if I was you, I would create my Shelly bot that tells me all of the best places, because probably you have an inventory of different venues, different caterings, different places for informal, formal meetings. You know all of that. How would you, if I tell you I need to plan the catering for the Spice Girl reunion, you will follow some steps. Well, you can train a bot that does that. Now, Amy, you do something similar, mostly in London, and the bots are different. Their databases are different, and probably your approach is different. In that thing that you think you are the best at something, train a bot on that. My best bots and the first bots I trained were in SEO because it's the discipline that I know the most. It can save you a lot of time. I have one client that they could go from one blog post to 5 to 10 per day with all of these custom GPTs. And we have much more traffic. It works. Yeah. And sometimes I use my knowledge to earn some money and not just comedy. I'm going to quickly show you the last thing. And then we go. Now we talked about all of the things that could happen in ChatGPT, right? But there's another level. I'm going to do this very quick. We're not going to talk about that extensively today, but I want to show you that. Remember all of the things that we did that I showed you for Meso? That we took the keywords, then those keywords went to the marketer, and then the marketer went to the writer, and that we needed to copy and paste everything. Well, when we start doing automation, and this is make.com, and make.com is free up to 1,000 operations per month, we can automate the whole thing. Let me show you. And go back to the incredible world of crypto loans. Now, if I take these keywords and fill these 4 columns, I have my topic, I have the country, I have the engine, I have the language, I have the content angle, and this will take the keywords from your writer, right? Then it will go to Perplexity and research the topic. Then it will go act like a content strategist and organize the full content and bring the citations we need from Perplexity and which products from Neso we are going to plug in. Then it's going to write the full article, the title, the meta description, and it's going to write it as if it was bunch, right? And it's going to write it with all of these instructions, which are monstrosity because this is a complex prompt. Then I have a reviewer. I have another bot that will review everything. Then it will spit the content. And if I turn this on in 5 minutes, I see the actual content, right? And I can program it to run every 5 minutes. Every 5 minutes, I put all of the keywords, and this can be all night churning content, right? Yeah, pretty cool. And this without hands, mom. Now, this is a bit obscure. It's fine, but most of my examples are a bit obscure. But I told you that sometimes I do YouTube videos once a week. What do we do with the YouTube video? Well, I'm going to publish it on my blog. I'm going to publish it on Medium. I'm going to publish it on LinkedIn. I'm going to create a newsletter. That is really time consuming, even if I have all of my GPTs. So what this does, every time I publish a blog, I publish one of these, it will take the transcript, it will write the blog, and it will publish directly on my WordPress. And then it will give me files for this because it don't have a API integration. And then it posts the video on LinkedIn natively, the newsletter. Then I'm add communities. All of these communities will get the message. And then it will write a Twitter thing. This was my last video from yesterday. Here, let me go through my blog. This is what we published yesterday. All automatically. All of this is done in the background. There is also a post. Should be somewhere here. Here is the LinkedIn post, all written by AI and all published directly without me doing anything. So after you have mastered custom GPTs in a way that you only need to copy and paste, we're going to get so lazy and you're going to say, I don't even want to copy and paste. It has to run in the background. I wasn't made for copying and pasting. I am a lazy immigrant. Nigel Farage is right. Two problems we have today. We say that using AI make women seem incompetent in the eyes of some men, and not using it makes us have to do everything manually. And today I sorted the internet for all of you. You're welcome. The only solution I have for you is to use custom GPTs. Right? Thank you for excitement in the chat. I'm going to go through the questions very soon. We're going to use these in everything that you do. We're going to camouflage it. We're going to make it talk like you. And you are fire. And AI is gasoline. No. How can I help you? I have sent you the Prompt Maker Express. This is free. And next week, I'm also launching Custom GPT Masterclass if you want me to explain step by step, because evidently an hour wasn't enough and an hour and 20 wasn't enough either. And also, if you want to make masterclass, our consultation, which I generally charge £199, you can buy it for £99. Today, I'm on sale because ultimately I want to defeat the patriarchy. And hopefully you join me. So, questions? Amy, you raise your hand. Yes, my darling, how are you?
Okay, so I scanned the QR code for the Prompt Maker Express with my phone, and I have ChatGPT app on there, and I can't, and it went to open the app, and then I don't know where the Prompt Maker Express has gone. Where in the ChatGPT app will that Prompt Maker Express save, or will it not? Pin it.
Hello? We can hear you.
I can hear you, yeah.
I'm sorry this happened. I can now complain. I'm going to put the QR code on screen again, Amy, so you can access the GPT, right?
Yeah.
Let me name. So custom GPTs, that's why I also keep a library, as I said on the webinar, because now it will show up for you. The chat will show up for a couple of days. And what will happen later, it will disappear. That's why I keep all of the links in a spreadsheet, right? So let me put up let's put up the code. It's fine, cool. Also, I thought that I should stand in front of my Spice Girl poster for the
reinforcement of the
Spice Girls. To reinforce the gig, I'm going to send you the link here. So, anyone else has other questions?
About, would you have any variations on advice when first building a brand from scratch so you can train it on previous posts?
In a brand, it has different things. A brand is what the brand does and how the brand speaks of it, right? There are two things. One is knowledge and the other one is styling. When I say the way I would, I don't know which brand is this, but imagine I generally download everything that people give me. Everything is blog posts, persona document, pitch decks, everything that you have about a brand. And then I try to imitate the style of the main writer. And for that, I need to go to the samples. Let's imagine these are blog post samples. And I would give the 5 most successful or 10 most successful and tell ChatGPT, okay, I want to recreate this voice. How would you do that? Or analyze the style and tell me how this writer writes to emulate with another AI. Yeah, that's how I would do it. Anything else?
I just had one question. No, sorry, I wanted to say thank you, but I'm just still going to. I've got the newborn on me. Thank you, Victoria. So that's why I tried to type it rather than juggling her. You can hear her, but yeah, thank you. I think I'm more meant when coming back from maternity. I'm intending to do a little bit something else with my freelance work, and that the content doesn't exist yet. But I obviously have content in other areas. Does it matter if the topics of your voice are completely different or the brand doesn't exist of that thing? Is what I meant. Sorry, it wasn't clear. The thing.
So I said that you have to train it on the best samples, and sometimes the best samples don't exist. And this happened to me with an e-commerce client, and I had to build a GPT and then an automation to write the content of products, blogs, and categories. So I said, I'm going to take the best post, and the best posts were not enough, right? The best posts had almost no content. So in that case, you have to sort of create a synthetic style. I don't have any samples, but I know how a e-commerce category should be written. Those are going to be the instructions when you don't have any samples. I think it's very important to have a sample of each channel because if I train a blog writer in a newsletter style, the blog will be a bit too intense. If I train blog style on Twitter or LinkedIn, it will be too intense because people don't write for newsletters, LinkedIn, Twitter, or whatever platform in the same way that they are going to write for blogs. So the best way to do it would be to have instructions for each channel, best sample for each channel. And if you don't have best sample, we need to have good instructions for each channel in the absence of samples. That's how I generally approach this.
Can you say, I really like the tone of voice and the way that this brand writes and
Yeah.
say, but I would like it to be more fun or I'd like it to be more serious?
Exactly. Exactly. Obviously, I mean, you can do anything, right? Then we see how if fidelity becomes an issue, right? Because if we are working from one sample or from a synthetic voice, it's easier that it derails rather than if I train, like I showed you, Vaish. Okay, I have 50 blog posts. It will not derail. It's like you have everything this person has ever written. So if I wanted to write like, I don't know, Dua Lipa songs, which are generally about 3 topics. I have analyzed it with AI because I went to her show. It's about wanting love or quitting love. That's it, right? You can tell ChatGPT, how does Dua Lipa write? I want to write like song like Dua Lipa. Give me, how does Dua Lipa write? When I was at the concert, I noticed it was a bit repetitive because Dua Lipa has 2 topics and women empowerment, generally associated to love, the need for love, dependency, toxic relationship, but it's always love or living love, and in women empowerment in the middle. I didn't know this before I had this conversation with ChatGPT. It also analyzed the whole structure, the rhythms, all of the music things that I can't comprehend because I have very little talents, but I love robots. But then I went with that description. I went to Soar. What is the name of this platform that writes music? I don't remember the name, but I copied that prompt and it created a song that could be very similar. I mean, I do a lot of experiments that have nothing to do with my core, with anything that make money, but I'm generally curious. So it's like, okay, can we hack Dua Lipa? Do a song like Dua Lipa. What is the name of the AI music platform? Yeah. Is this useful? Probably not. It's called Suno, but you can do the Dua Lipa. Maybe we can recreate Spice Girls. Anything else you want to know today?
No, thank you, Victoria. Thank you, Shelley.
Yeah. Thank you,
Yeah.
Shub, for giving me the idea and helping me invite people and coordinate, do the design and all of the things. And I hope that you train your bot soon, your Shady Dubai bot soon.
I'm gonna train it immediately.
And then I'm going to copy it, Shelley.
Yeah. Well, it's the same thing, but you change the database.
Yeah. Adapt this to London.
Get to work, Shelley, please.
Yeah, and then we can do one worldwide, Amy. Every events in every country.
Exactly. For example, people in crypto are going to DevCon in Buenos Aires. You're going to do a lot of research for all of that. If you don't use that research, it dies. All of the collections, Amy, you have organized events in many parts of the world, Chile as well. Yeah, what do we do with all of that data? I would turn it into bots, but you tell me. Anyway, thank you so much for attending today and staying late. And I'm going to send you all of it, slides, link, and video, as soon as I can.
Thank you. Bye.